Hi, everybody. I have Felicia Pierce with me today. Felicia has been a team member of the Warburton team for a little over 2 years. She's closed multiple personal and Zillow Flex deals. She just closed one recently and has one closing today and tomorrow. So congratulations, Felicia. That's amazing. I know you put in a lot of work on those. Can you give us a little background on your most recent closing that you've had with Zillow?
Yes. Thank you for having me. Yes, I was introduced to this client via Zillow Flex. And I met her and her fiance at the first property. They were interested in homes in Hemet. And we had gone in and we looked, and they told me that they were needing to get out within like 2 months. So we knew that we were on a deadline. So we kept that kind of at like the forefront of our searching to make sure that we could get in right away. And I was very available for them so that we could not waste any time because they were on a serious time crunch. So we probably, this was actually a client that I probably showed one of the most many times. Usually I don't have to take someone out as much. So this one was, and I was happy to help her and her family. A couple times she had brought her kids along. So it was like nice to meet them and see who was going to be going in, and, her why and why it was important to get this place and whatever. So it was actually really helpful because there were a lot of showings that we did. We did a couple offers. We had a couple issues with park management approval. And sometimes there were sometimes it could be very particular, and it was just difficult with them working and with the kids. Like, it was hard to get things all checked off. I try to do my best. When that happens with clients, I will do phone calls and paperwork and try to help where I can to like keep things going. So with that being said, we found this one. She had started after we had gone through, like, not issues, but some speed bumps, and we were getting close to the time that we needed to, open her escrow so she had enough time to get out. She was interested in like seller financing homes, and we luckily came across one in Hemet. And the owner was also the agent, so it worked out well in the sense that there wasn't that extra step of a person that we had to talk to. So that was cool. He was a really cool guy. He did the seller financing, this was my first transaction with seller financing. So I learned a lot with this one. Unfortunately, it wasn't like something I learned right in the beginning. A couple times we learned in the middle of it. One of the things that unfortunately happened was that the escrow person, it was a small escrow company because it was the agent, like I said, was the seller. So he had like a smaller company that he was using as an escrow, and it was just like a one-woman company. And so the HOA demand wasn't ordered until the day before we were supposed to close escrow. And with that, we found out that the office had gotten sick with COVID. And so they shut down the office for 10 days. So we were supposed to have a 10-day cash offer. Well, I take that back. It wasn't a cash offer. We did a really, really large down payment, and then we did the seller financing, but it was supposed to only be 10 days. And because of this, it being specifically a COVID, closure, then it got pushed. And then we found out that the HOA required an orientation. And so that had to get scheduled, and then so on and so on. So instead of it being like a 10-day easy escrow, it ended up being almost like, it was like 3.5 weeks to close. So it was very rushed at the end. The client was nervous to make sure she could get things out because it was kind of a fixer-upper. But they were really excited to like make it their own and be able to turn it into, this house into their home. Also in seller financing. So if you're working maybe with, like, I know now for the future, if I'm working with someone who is like seller slash agent, and they maybe don't have like a big team behind them, like we do, that to stay on top of certain things like the HOA demands and if there's orientations and things like that. One of the other things I learned was that when you do seller financing, you don't have a lender getting you homeowners insurance. So right before we closed, we realized she still didn't have that, and we needed that for her to close. And due to the type of home and where it was, and homeowners insurance is tricky to get right now. She was calling company after company and they kept denying her insurance on the home. So that also set us back a day or so. But I have a really good broker that my actually family friend used. I called and said, hey, who's your insurance guy? And we used them and he got us insurance that day. And we were closed literally later that afternoon because we had the declaration page sent to us like right away. So that was a big learning experience. So if you're ever doing seller financing, all the things that the lender usually does, you have to help your client, or your client just has to know to take that initial, charge of doing it. Because there's not going to be that lender that says, hey, or like an underwriter that says, hey, you're missing this, some detail we were going to close.
But you really had to be on top of this one specifically because there wasn't anyone to call you to be like, hey, you need X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Did you talk to her every day throughout the process just to guide her through?
Pretty much, yes. And she had a lot of questions too, because this was her first time buying a house. And she had obviously never gone through the process. So she had a lot of questions. And because this was my first seller financing, I had questions then. So I was using our transaction coordinator and our closing team a lot. I was calling them a lot to ask questions just because I had these things before. So, but it was a really good learning experience and she was super happy in the end. And like I said, the agent / seller was a really cool guy. And so they have a good relationship. And that was the other thing, knowing that she was going to have to be working with him for the next, I think they did a 20-year term loan. Really wanted to make sure that they got off like on a good foot because they were going to have to keep working together 20-ish years or until she refis, either or. Yeah. So, but it was good. It was a really good learning experience.
I'm really glad that worked out. And I think it's super important to, especially during the escrow period, that your clients get nervous. So that's definitely super important to just stay in contact with them every day throughout the entire time, even multiple times a day if you have to. And that's a great thing about having the support on our team is that you can always call our closing department and they'll be able to assist you with anything as well when it comes to like transactions like that some agents may never do, or like you have done for the first time. So that's super. I'm glad to hear that it all worked out.
Yeah, I also called our head coach a lot, just to see like the next steps of things. And so because wonderful Kathy even will pick up her phone on the weekends.
Will.
A lot did happen over the weekend. So yeah, very helpful that she's always so helpful to us.
Absolutely. We love her and we love you. So congratulations. Thank you, Felicia.
Thank you.
Bye.